Forget everything you think you know about stranger danger. The single most shocking question in true crime is this: how do you hand your daughter back to the man who kidnapped her, and then watch him do it again? The documentary Abducted in Plain Sight is not a story of failure, it's a case study in catastrophe. We are diving beneath the simple plot points to dissect the psychology, the catastrophic parental compromises, the sociopathic precision of the manipulator, and the terrifying fear of shame that allowed this predator to operate for years. This is the analysis that explains the outrage and confusion this documentary generated worldwide. The tragedy began in the blinding light of trust. Pocatello, Idaho, 1970s. The Brobergs were a conservative, naive, church-going family whose greatest vulnerability was their faith in their community. And Robert Berchtold was the perfect predator. He was the family neighbor, married with 5 children, and a devoted church member, the ultimate Trojan horse. He didn't need to force his way in. The Brobergs trusted him completely and ushered him right to their door. His goal was not just the child, but the entire protective unit. He was given unchallenged access when 12-year-old Jan went horseback riding with him. This initial period established the crucial proximity, turning the parents from protective gatekeepers into unwitting facilitators of the crime. The nightmare became physical on October 17, 1974. Jan was kidnapped, drugged, strapped to a tiny bed, and driven across the border to Mexico. A national FBI manhunt ensued, and 5 weeks later, Jan was recovered. A terrifying tragedy averted. Wrong. This is the hinge point of the documentary, the moment of pure critical failure. Despite the documented kidnapping, Berchtold was not jailed for long. And in the decision that enraged millions of viewers, he was welcomed back into their lives by Bob and Jan Broberg. He was allowed to spend time alone with Jan regularly. The key to this confusion lies in the parents' troubling admissions. The Brobergs had untold personal dramas and marital indiscretions, which Berchtold had skillfully exploited. Berchtold had established intimate, manipulative relationships with both Marianne and Robert Broberg. This created a mutual web of guilt, fear, and silence. They chose to conceal their own shame, fearing the ruin of their reputation in their small community over protecting their daughter. The predator was restored to his position of influence, leading directly to the second abduction and years of sexual, emotional, and psychological abuse. It was during this time that he deployed his most extreme weapon, the alien prophecy. The enduring shock of Abducted in Plain Sight is our collective inability to comprehend the systemic failure. The parents' actions, driven by a deep-seated fear of social disgrace, highlight a tragic prioritization of reputation management over protective duty. The documentary states plainly, these crimes could have been prevented. Berchtold was a master of systemic compromise and coercive control. His affairs with both parents provided potent blackmail, ensuring their silence and passivity. By making the parents feel inferior and dependent on him to keep their secrets, he neutralized the protective barrier. He leveraged the conservative, community-based identity of the Brobergs against them, ensuring they would rather enable the abuse than face public shame. This compromise is the engine of the epic failure that allowed Jan to be alone with her abductor again and again. Crucially, Berchtold didn't just control the parents, he induced trauma bonding in Jan. This paradoxical attachment forms when intermittent abuse alternates with positive interactions, cementing a bond in a situation of profound power imbalance. The bizarre alien prophecy telling Jan she was the Shan of an alien race and that her family would die if she disobeyed was the perfect accelerator. This extreme cognitive distortion forced her to view the abuse not as terror, but as an act of duty and necessary sacrifice to save her loved ones. She was forced to interpret her captor's actions as a bizarre form of love or necessity, trapping her even when physically free. Abducted in Plain Sight serves as a stark, urgent lesson. It teaches us that the most dangerous predators don't rely on physical strength. They rely on psychological acuity and the willingness of their victims' protectors to prioritize reputation, shame, and secrets over safety. The answer to how it happened twice is complex, but rooted in this painful reality. The architecture of abuse was built on the failures of the adult world to sacrifice their own image for their child. It is a cautionary tale that demands accountability and a clear understanding of manipulation to prevent the unimaginable from happening in plain sight ever again. If this recap left you stunned, hit that subscribe button to Recap World. We're breaking down even more unbelievable stories next week. Tap the bell so you don't miss our next video.